Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So I'm very happy to be with you today. Before I introduce our fantastic panelists, I'd like to just introduce the topic of our discussion first. So as we know and as we've heard from previous panel discussion, from Nicholas's presentation, we know that hospitality is growing exponentially. But the talent pipeline isn't there yet. So many young people, especially in Saudi Arabia, don't view hospitality as a career that's innovative, exciting, and that's future-proof. So we're here today to talk about how we can shift that mindset. So what would it take to make hospitality a career of choice and not chance for the next generation? So with that being said, I'm proud to be joined by 4 incredible speakers who each bring a different lens to this challenge. So I'll start off with Dr. Abeer Alamri. Welcome. Dr. Abeer Alamri is actually with the Ministry of Tourism. She's an expert who leads national efforts in skills development and talent optimization. Next, we have Ms. Layla Alamri. Welcome. She's the Senior Manager of Education at Red Sea Global, one of the Kingdom's most ambitious tourism projects. Third, we have Mr. Ibrahim Osta. He's the Global Tourism Lead and Senior Economic Growth Advisor at Chemonics International, with deep experience helping position tourism as a real economic driver. Welcome. And lastly, we have Mr. Paul Keane. Mr. Paul Keane is actually a Gen Z himself, but the Director of Operations and Cultures at the QUO Global. It's a leading branding agency. And I'm really happy to have you here, Paul, because I think Paul will bring fresh insight into how hospitality needs to evolve to truly resonate with the next generation. So welcome, panelists. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, audience, for joining us today. So to start, I just want to this question is for everybody here to engage and converse to help ground the discussion. So, in your opinion, what's the biggest misconception that you think young people today here in Saudi Arabia or globally have about hospitality careers? So maybe we can start with you, yeah?
Thank you, Lameese. I think in Saudi Arabia is not different from other countries. We have the same dilemma. I think the most challenging misconception is about the job level. It's limited to low paying. There is no career path. All these type of words we always hear. There is no growth. And what is next? So
That's
this is from my opinion.
And you, maybe your opinion, Ibrahim?
I think as Dr. Alamri mentioned, your introduction is not unique to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I worked in many destinations, and whenever we do a gap analysis of the needs of the private sector for workforce, exactly the same issues in Tunisia, in Jordan, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Moldova, et cetera, et cetera. So when we look at the issue of workforce, I think the impression of the industry as it's not prestigious enough, it is often looked down upon as more labor, or blue collar, if you may, as opposed to being a pathway for economic independence, for improved livelihoods, and so forth, and for the future career progression. And that's what I think this is the topic today. How do you rebrand the industry? This is one important thing, is how do you make it attractive and for people to know that they can progress. They can start small, but they can move up the value chain.
No, I fully agree with you. Actually, I said it briefly in the introduction, is how do we really change the mindset where young people are not turning to hospitality careers by chance, but rather actually make this a career path that you can, fit into and grow into. And Ms. Layla, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes. So in addition to what Dr. Abeer and Mr. Ibrahim added, I think if I focus on the Saudi youth, I think the biggest misconception in my view, and based on the experience we're having at RSG, is how they see hospitality career less prestigious than many other careers due to maybe cultural or social reasons. When parents want their kids to be doctors or lawyers or engineers or even go to governmental jobs, but not hospitality careers. Or it could be lack of awareness about the hospitality career growth. But luckily with Saudi Vision 2030, I think it works on shifting mindsets through initiating and hugely supporting giga projects, like for example in our case, Red Sea destinations, which we saw rapid change, positive change over the time.
Yeah, definitely. There's been exponential progress happening so far, and it's been so little time yet, and there's still so much time, so I could only imagine where we'll get to when we get to 2030. And you, Paul, any thoughts on the matter?
I think it's a very good question. And looking at the misconception, I think that when we think of our typical jobs and roles within hospitality, innovation and creativity don't come front of mind. And in my perspective, the industry is one where innovation, new experiences, and really new visions and companies can come to the forefront. And I think that there is this perception that hospitality isn't a creative industry. It's not one where new companies, you see within technology and across other industries, can truly innovate. And that is not particularly appealing for young people who want to make an impact and want to do something different and new. But I think that we're going to find today with all of these wonderful people on stage that you can innovate within hospitality and that there is this ability to truly offer new experiences.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think a lot of work has been done, but a lot of work is being done. So that's the positive part about it. So now to go a little deeper, I'm going to ask each of you individually, I think from your expertise and experience, of course. We'd like to hear first with Dr. Abeer. What are the top skills that we must cultivate early to prepare Saudi youth, or really based on where we're going? This is what we see around the world, not just in Saudi. So where do we prepare youth for the future of hospitality careers? And how do we really start changing this perception through education?
So this question has like two folds. The first one is about the top skill. I just want to emphasize what Dr. Fabian in the previous session phrased when he said hospitality is attitude. So I think it's customer-oriented or customer-centric. This is very important to understand your audience, your culture sensitivity, or adaptability, resilience. All these type of skill must become at first. English or let's say language proficiency. Saudi Arabia open to international visitors from all across the world. And when I talk to some of my colleagues in the mega project, they said that we have 108, for example, nationality in working in the site. So that's mean a different language. So all these type of communication skills they needed, in addition to all general, communication or teamwork, collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, because it's a very creative industry. So they need all these top skills. How can education help? It's another story. So we need curriculum reform. It's not only about how can we update curriculum, it's how we approach them through curriculum. For example, I think they have to highlight the diverse career pathway, highlight role in management, showcase of successful Saudi professional. So this is if you look at curriculum reform. Another thing is very important to educate the educator about the career path, encourage them to talk to the students about this, what is next, where you see yourself later after you graduate from the program. Industry exposure, I think there is a heavy role for the industry, mentorship, internship, secondment, all these types, they have to be exposed to the industry. And another thing is integrate hospitality into other sector. We cannot work because we are only in a cigarette on a solo. We have to work with economy, industry. We need to introduce the hospitality concept in all education, other education related, language, geography, economic, media, legal, all these type. We have to talk about hospitality. I think I just try to jot down all these points.
That's very good. No, that's very interesting. I think two things that really, stayed with me was one, that tourism or just through education, it had to be a multidisciplinary approach. I think that's very important. It's something that, as well, us at UN Tourism, we're working on. How do we introduce hospitality and tourism into different disciplines. And I think that's very important so that the sector enlarges, you know, and then everything else that you touched upon, I think, is very essential to change the perception through education. So I'll move on to Ms. Layla first before I come back to you, Mr. Ibrahim. So Ms. Layla, you work with Saudi Arabia's flagship projects. We know the Red Sea Global. What real-world initiatives have you seen that have been proven successful in attracting youth to hospitality and tourism careers, especially at Red Sea?
Okay. So I think Red Sea have hugely invested in human capability through putting on the ground real-life initiatives that not only were attracting the Saudi youth, but also shifting mindsets about hospitality careers. Because if you provide these young talents with educational programs that is fully sponsored or funded, and these programs are in collaboration with strategic local partners who deliver the program that are internationally accredited. And there were some examples that in the previous presentation mentioned, like EHL Business School, that is the first and most prestigious hospitality management education in Europe.
Yeah.
And for example, Hong Kong Polytech, that is also #1 in Asia in terms of hospitality and leisure management. So these local partners work or deliver programs in international accreditation. This also attracts young talents. But in addition to that, all these programs, when they end with promising jobs, not only with world-class luxury hospitality brands like, for example, St. Regis or Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, and all these names, but most importantly, in a giga project that fully aligns with Saudi Vision 2030, like Red Sea Destination, I think this ticks all the dots to young talents and makes them really attracted to join these programs. I think not only that, also Red Sea have hugely invested in empowering them throughout the journey through conducting student enrichment programs. So while they are studying, provided by education, jobs at the end in a very promising, ambitious destination, but more importantly, bringing them to different global and local occasion in Saudi and around the world, like Future Initiative Investment in Saudi, Young Hotelier Summit in Switzerland, Future Hospitality Challenge competition, and they won first and second places. Actually, today we have 4 of our students joining us from Jeddah, attending this event. So this really helps empowering our talents. So by the time they graduate, they are already equipped with the talents and empowerment, thanks to them, some from hospitality programs and some from luxury health and wellness tourism operation, which has been accredited by Ministry of Tourism and in collaboration with the Baterjee colleges in Jeddah. So all of these factors really help in attracting young talents to pursue education and future career in hospitality.
Wow, that's really great. Actually, first, we're very happy to see you here, and second, I think you focus a lot on the international exposure, but you make sure that you're also investing and building locally, and I think that's very important. And as we know, the story also needs to be told, and for that reason, it needs branding, storytelling, and inspiration, so that it's something that can be voiced out to the next generation, especially. So with that, Mr. Ibrahim, I'd like to ask you, you've seen rebranding initiatives succeed in other emerging markets. What lessons from global tourism development can Saudi Arabia adapt to make hospitality careers more appealing?
So I've been doing tourism for a long time. I started as a dishwasher.
Oh, wow.
And I graduated to become actually a dishwasher. Then management said, be a busboy too. So I was running out, bussing to the tables and going back, washing the dishes, and I became a waiter after that. But the message is, السياحة مش عيب. And this is, for example, something that we had to deal with in Jordan. That especially when you go to more conservative communities, people look at tourism as culturally questionable. I'll give you one interesting example. In the city of Petra, the most important site, the community around it is very conservative, so it was difficult to get women involved in the tourism sector. So what we did is we partnered with the hotels like the Marriott, like the Movenpick, for them not just to hire young women and train them, but to hire either the aunt or the mother, and then you would have a squad of the family. So you have 2, 3 girls and their aunt all working together. So everybody's benefiting from this, and at the same time, then you have kind of a familial feel for the operation, and that went very well. That was really interesting. So there are different ways how you can be culturally sensitive in terms of how you introduce workforce programs and so forth. So what we do when we're working on human capital development, we have a 4-pronged approach. One is upgrading tourism education in high school. And in some countries, there's vocational education at the high school level. Others do not, but even those that do not, it's important to begin tourism awareness. Because first, you get the students aware about the potential of the industry, and hopefully, in the future, they become interested to continue studying tourism. Not all students are destined for college, so therefore, we need to treat high schools either as feeders into vocational training, so maybe they don't go into college, or to colleges themselves, and some would go straight into industry. And second is having properly equipped, and like you spoke about curriculum development, proper curriculum for vocational education. And that should be maybe not too long. Sometimes, depending on the country, it's too long, so we try to reduce it down and make it quick so that people get the skills and go into industry. And do it in partnership with the industry itself. And third, upgrading university education. That's very important. And it's a challenge to keep the curriculum current. And that is important, that how you keep it current, and that's another area. But fourth, industry-based learning. Because you have all the kitchens in the hotels already, and you have the bathrooms, and so you have the training lab in the hotel itself. One initiative that we launched in different countries, it's called Pathways to Professionalism. And so we have a curriculum that we create, and it's adopted by essentially all hotels in a destination. And so we know that if this hotel trains young people that come straight to the hotel, and they graduate, say with the Hilton logo, for example, or the Marriott logo, they become more mobile, so the Sheraton knows when they walk in that they have the minimum set of skills, and it makes them more mobile and they go into the sector. And finally, we need to work on expanding the labor pool from which we bring in. So this is where you come into the awareness of tourism as a career choice and so forth. Then on the flip side, what do we do with the employers? Because not all employers are necessarily the 5-star hotels. So make sure that they have proper care programs for the employees, they're paying them well, and there is a career path that is clear for them to pursue. But finally, I would say, let's not just look at tourism careers as working in a hotel or restaurant. We have a great example here in the room. Maybe a shout out for Noura. Where's Noura? Noura's in the back somewhere. There she is with the phone. So Noura made a career shift. And let's give her a hand, first of all. So Noura used to teach, and then she works for the city, and then she decided to enter the industry. She's working in events. So tourism is wider than dishwashing or cleaning rooms or even serving tables. It's way beyond that. It's events, it's translation, it's working in electrical maintenance, or it could be accounting and advertising. You talk about creative, for example. It's a big thing. So it's a big industry, and there's so much that we need to educate job seekers about this.
Yeah, actually, tourism is a huge industry.
Right.
I think it has, over 100 subsectors, so there's a place for everyone. But I really enjoyed hearing, I think the theme or the core pillar that we keep bringing up is education. And I think that that's what makes the difference. But I liked when you mentioned about awareness. I think, if we take a step back, I think the first thing we need to do, especially in, I would say, in the Arab world, I think awareness is critical because you're now reintroducing or introducing for a first time an industry or even a subject matter that you're trying to have the youth start as a career, and it needs to be convincing. So it has to start with awareness. So thank you for that. And to Mr. Paul, you know, coming from someone who's a Gen Z, and I'm sorry I keep highlighting that, but I think it's a really nice and fresh insight into this conversation, given, you know, the theme of this forum. But you're leading on branding and culture. And, you know, where is hospitality missing the mark when it's connecting with your generation? And what would it take to make it feel truly relevant, aspirational, and worth building a career in?
I think that a lot's been said already in this forum and a lot before here about making hospitality more aligned with purpose. And I think that is very notable, but I'm going to start with something a little bit more relatable because I think that purpose element is crucial. I think that already hospitality and tourism is one of the most glamorized industries across Gen Z and possibly across other generations as well because of social media and the takeover of content and the importance of personal brand today. People spend a lot of their time in my generation and in older and younger generations looking at content on their phones. And that content is by and large hotels, cafes, restaurants, tourism destinations. It's probably every third video or post that you see. So hospitality is already incredibly glamorized, but the jobs, opportunities, education associated with the industry has very little association with this hugely attractive element and of social media and content. So I think, honestly, it's already being branded in an incredible way, and it's already showing that organizations, hotels, restaurants, particularly tourism destinations that do things differently, that show people a different side and that tell a story, create the most attractive content. And that content is what's most attractive for a lot of people in the younger generations. But to go a little bit deeper than that, I think that there's two elements and reasons why that is. The first is because this content for the first time is no longer the, apologies to many people in this room, but relatively wishy-washy branding and advertising that comes directly from hotels. It's real stories of real customers and real guests that experience these things. So when you're able to see that told from the perspective of a guest, it makes hospitality that much more glamorous. And the other thing, which is linking back to purpose, and it's been repeated, purpose, purpose, purpose. Gen Z don't just care about a paycheck, they care about purpose. What is the purpose of hospitality? Why is it a noble cause? Why is it an important industry? I mean, I would argue it's one of the most important industries. It's not only your, not first line of defense, but maybe first line of attraction when it comes to representing your country and who you are. But most importantly, I think it speaks to our fundamental human need of bringing people together, of social connection. And if you're demonstrating through education, through career paths, that you are creating jobs and roles that enable people to serve that higher purpose that hospitality can offer, then it will become a far more attractive industry. And I think that actually already today, with the amount of content being produced, with the amount of new innovative concepts within the industry, it already is a very attractive industry to try and seek employment.
Yeah, thank you for that. Actually, that was very insightful. A round of applause even. Yeah, that really, you know, was very powerful what you said, and I think it put things into perspective. And you know, really, I think a major key takeaway that I took from this entire conversation, and we haven't ended yet, we have 2 minutes, which is good, but I think we need to make things purpose-driven, and we have different ways to do that, whether it's through positioning, whether it's through education, whether it's through storytelling. You know, there's several different ways, awareness, there's several different ways we could do that to really make hospitality careers attractive. And like you said, not to be glamorized through what you see on Instagram or on these you know, social media applications, but to really put the work through. And I think there's a place for everyone when it comes to this industry. So now before we wrap, I think we have a bit of good time to conclude this discussion. I just want to challenge each of you to kind of think bold and think fast. You've all offered really rich insights, but if we had to, move fast and make it, one game-changing shift, if you recommend this one bold move that Saudi Arabia could do to immediately rebrand hospitality careers, what would that be? And I'll start with you.
Challenge the youth. Listen to them, know what they want. I know we are run out of time, but let me share that I have 2 kids, they work in hospitality.
Wow.
One, he is already working in Red Sea Global, and the other one, he just started his bachelor degree in AHL. My son, he get accepted in 9 UK university in data intelligence.
Wow.
And 2 months before September, he came to me and said, Mama, I want to study business. I told him, but you want data? He said, I will integrate data in business hospitality.
Yeah.
So I think we need to listen to them to know what they want.
Exactly. And you?
Okay, I have very strong feelings about this because I was just a guest lecturer at King Khalid University in Asiya a few days ago. And when I started, I said, let's just make sure as we develop tourism, we do not want any tourists in Saudi Arabia. We want guests, and there's a very big difference because a guest comes to you, they respect you, they only come because they want to learn about the culture and they appreciate it, and that's why they come. And just when you accept guests, a guest coming in your home, Saudi Arabia is our home. When we're promoting people to come here, we want them to be guests, just like they come to our home. When a guest comes to my house, when a guest comes to any of your houses, they respect you, they respect your culture, they play by your rules. And this is what the kind of visitor we want, is a guest that respects us. Now, what does this mean for people that work in the industry? They are the ambassadors of Saudi Arabia, and they're the ones that are going to express the culture and the heritage and what Saudi Arabia stands for. And therefore, people need to understand that if you enter the tourism sector, you become the country's ambassador. You become the country's face. One thing, in terms of being the cultural ambassador. But second, tourism is one of the largest exporters in the world. When you look at service sector exports, tourism is key. So also, these people working in the sector, whether they are entry-level workers or managers, they're major exporters. They're creating great economic value for the country. So they're an engine of development. And when you become a cultural ambassador and an exporter, this is the view that you have. I'm developing my country as well. Then that gives them the pride that I want to be in the sector, and then they can move up. If we're able to communicate to them that the industry does offer the progression, and actually it does.
Very good, very good. And Layla?
Well, I think, again, positive changes are ongoing now with very useful contribution from all entities. However, we need more joint venture collaboration with governmental entities and maybe global brands, maybe putting this together in the education again, going back to education and how important it is from early year schools, not high schoolers, not after, but from early years, maybe involve it and embed it into curriculum to change this mindset about this very important industry. That's, I think, the one bold change I would
very good,
think of.
And you, lastly?
Yes, just very quickly, because I know we're out of time, but just 2 words. One, importance. Saudi culture and hospitality is one of the most unbelievable assets in the world, and those that work within this industry have the privilege to bring Saudi to the world. So holding that level of importance. And the other is innovation. What we can do here in terms of types of experiences, stories, and emotions that we can bring guests and we can infuse locally is unparalleled. So I think that knowing that it's important and having the boldness to jump on opportunities and offer innovative new experiences is everything.
That's so great. I mean, thank you so much. This was a really fast conversation, but it was really rich. I think, to just sum it up and put it into several key takeaways, I think I'd say that education comes first, skills, but, to do it as early as you can. Touching upon what you said, Mr. Ibrahim, I think local ambassadors is not optional. I think it's essential, especially from the country where you're from. And then lastly, in terms of, if we're talking about Generation Z, I think we always need to go with a purpose-driven story that really resonates with them, especially with the values and the mission and the objectives. So thank you so much to our esteemed panelists. Thank you to the audience for joining us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.